Hello and welcome to Kickoff with Casey. My name's Casey Patrick, and we've got plenty of football to talk about. We're going to start with Alabama's comeback win over Oklahoma, the rest of the first round of the college football playoff bracket. I got this written down right here that Notre Dame was probably right, and it's still funny. I'm glad that Notre Dame wasn't in, but they were right. The rest of those college football bracket games were not a whole lot of fun to watch. I know Miami and A&M were close, but we'll get into all that and more right here, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Kickoff with Casey. We'll start with the Alabama comeback win over Oklahoma. I watched most of that game. For some reason, the part that I missed, I just kind of looked away from the screen for a second. Apparently, that was the part where Ty Simpson got hot, and he turned it around for Alabama. The offense got going. I honestly felt like once Oklahoma got up 17-0, I really didn't feel like Alabama had a chance because I thought Oklahoma's defense was just going to kind of hold them there. But kudos to Alabama. Jeremy Bernard made another fantastic play. He's a big-time target. Like I said, Ty Simpson was good. I don't remember seeing Jam Miller play much the other day, which I know they've probably got 7 or 8 running backs on that roster that could start for anybody. But kudos to Alabama, though. I mean, I really felt like once they got down by a lot there, I thought that thing was over. I thought it was over with. And I really didn't see a reason to watch the rest of it, which is why I kind of looked away for a second, and then I looked back up, and lo and behold, Alabama's going to win the football game. And so, again, kudos to those guys. I really don't know what happened. I don't even remember what I was doing Friday, but I looked away from, like I said, I looked away from the TV for what felt like 2 minutes. And when I got back, Oklahoma was in trouble. And so that, I don't think that really bodes well for, I believe Indiana should be the next matchup for Alabama. I believe that's right. I have it written down somewhere on here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Who's the next one? Indiana. Alabama's next matchup is going to be Indiana. I don't know what's going to happen there, but we got plenty of time later in the show to get to it. We'll go on to the next game. The Miami versus A&M game, listen, you're going to have a lot of folks, I think that they kind of think they're, taking a stand for old school football when they say stuff like this, like, oh, it's a big, good defensive battle. I've seen good defensive battles. That's not what that was. Carson Beck, I wrote this down, 14 of 20, so not that bad, for 100 yards, like 103 yards and 1 touchdown. That's like 5.5 yards an attempt. Marcel Reed threw 39 passes. He completed 25 of them for 237 yards and 2 interceptions. Marcel Reed was also the leading rusher for Texas A&M. He had 27 yards on 15 carries. Now, of course, the sacks get thrown into that, so take with that what you will. But the fact that he led A&M in rushing with 27 yards, I think that says a lot. Miami's defense is good. Texas A&M's defense is good. I'm not trying to say that they're not. I'm just saying that most of the lack of scoring that you saw in that game on Saturday, it had more to do with the offenses really struggling and not executing anything. Again, I've seen good defensive battles. I don't necessarily believe that's what that was. I think that was 2 good defenses that were taking advantage of bad offenses. And it was really boring to watch until the last 7 minutes of that game. I got to see most of that game, and I don't know why I watched most of it because, again, it was boring. I think it was either 0-0 or 3-3 at half. Excuse me. And then, again, Miami, I think they had a little bit of a short field there, was able to score a touchdown. A&M gets the ball right back. They go down the field. Marcel Reed throws a pick on, I think, 2nd and goal. They still had 40 seconds or 30 seconds left, maybe 25, 30 seconds left. A lot of mistakes from the offensive side. I love good defensive football, That's not necessarily what this was on Saturday. It was boring. Just my personal opinion. The Tulane game, Tulane and Ole Miss, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't watch a down of it. I didn't get to see any of it. Saturday was kind of a blur as well as Friday, and I'm not real sure why. I wasn't doing a whole lot of anything. But, again, I did write this down. My bad on lock of the week, LOL. I actually wrote all that down. Because there was a part of me that when I saw the score and it was like 41-10 or 41-3, when I saw that final score, I thought about the fact that I said it would be my lock of the week on this show. And I thought, man, that was really, really bad. There was something that told me, though, that, again, I thought Ole Miss was the better team, but if anybody had a chance to kind of, upset somebody, I really thought it was Tulane, because I know that they're going through a coaching change, but so is Ole Miss. I felt like, maybe that roster or the locker room for Ole Miss wasn't as excited to play in this game. Couldn't have been more wrong. So kudos to the Rebels. Again, I got that one way wrong. Moving on to the next game, Oregon and JMU. To my surprise, I will say this. James Madison, they could score. I think the final score was 51-34 or 51-32, something like that. Which I think Oregon's defense was kind of just more of like a prevent thing there at the end. But James Madison was able to move the ball a little bit better than I expected, but they just could not stop Oregon. And, Dante Moore threw 2 interceptions, but other than that, he was 19 of 27 on the day for 313 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's usually going to win you a lot of games. The 2 picks are probably kind of concerning, but I only got to see a few plays out of this game, so I'm assuming, one of those picks was probably something goofy or a tip or something like that. Who knows? But either way, it really did not mean anything. Oregon just powered their way through JMU, which kind of sucks in a way that it, next year this whole thing's going to come up again, whether it's 12 or 16 or 32 teams, God forbid. Who knows how many we're going to have. It doesn't really matter, but there's always going to be some argument for the team that we all know probably shouldn't be there. JMU was 12-1 coming into this game. I'm not saying they didn't deserve to play Oregon, but I think 90% of football fans really felt like Oregon was a huge favorite to win this game, and that's not what the playoffs should be. But this kind of a final, or this kind of a result, really sucks for these JMU teams, for the Tulane teams. It's just, it makes you think next year, like, who knows if it's Appalachian State or Kennesaw State or one of these random teams, really small teams from a smaller division, has a really good year. And we're going to look at them, we're going to say, we remember so-and-so in this game and so-and-so in this game, and they lost by 30 points. They lost by 20 points. And it's going to make some of those other teams look bad where it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't, but it's going to, and I can't say that it's not for good reason. I'm contradicting myself a lot here. But it's hard to make an argument one way or the other, because on one hand, these teams do deserve an opportunity to play in the playoffs, but at the same time, they're obviously outmatched. Obviously. We're going to take our first break right there, just talking about the first little set of games. When we come back, we're going to talk about basically just a lot of the upcoming bowl games that we have, and then the next roll of playoff games. So make sure y'all don't go anywhere. Come right back.
He shoots, and he scores!
closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Hello and welcome back to Kickoff with Casey. My name's Casey Patrick. We're gonna go through the first. We're gonna talk about the next matchups for the college football bracket, the playoff bracket, and then we're gonna get into some of the upcoming matchups for the bowl games that we've got. Which there are still a lot of bowl games, and I've got another show. We're going to do this again next week, so I'm not going anywhere. So we're going to end up talking about some of these college football bracket stuff again. Of course, you guys are going to see this episode this Wednesday. I think it's the 24th. Yeah, this Wednesday, the 24th. And then the next round of the college football playoff bracket is going to be the following Wednesday, December 31st, and Thursday, the January 1st. So we're actually going to talk about, we're just going to talk about a few of these. We're going to talk about all the matchups, but we're not going to deep dive into them. I'll probably wait and save some of that for next week. But with the games that we had last week, it moves it to Miami versus Ohio State. Ohio State is nearly a 10-point favorite in that game, which I agree with. I think Ohio State wins by 13. And then Thursday, January 1st, the other three matchups. Oregon is going to be the favorite by 1.5 against Texas Tech. Alabama versus Indiana. Indiana is going to be 6.5-point favorites. And then Ole Miss versus Georgia. And I'm pretty sure, I know Georgia was the favorite, and I think it was 3.5. I think it was 3.5. I'm going to write that down because I thought that's what I looked at. But again, we're not gonna really deep dive that this week. We're gonna wait. Probably talk about, next week we're going to talk more about those matchups and then some of these other games that we've got. But first, we'll start with, of course, I'm recording this on Monday, so Tuesday, December 23rd. We got the Boca Raton Bowl at 1 p.m. You guys aren't going to know about it. This game's going to be over by the time you hear this, but we do have 3 games on Tuesday. Toledo, Louisville, Western Kentucky, Southern Miss, UNLV versus Ohio. And then the one game on Wednesday. So, hey, everybody that's watching this on Wednesday, we do get one game for Christmas Eve. It's going to be the Hawaii Bowl, 7 p.m., California versus Hawaii. Hawaii is 1.5-point favorites. I don't know jack squat about either one of these two teams. I made a joke about California earlier in the year. I've probably made one about Hawaii, but I really don't know anything about those two teams. That is going to be the one lone game that we have on Christmas Eve. And then Christmas, we're all off. Stay off your phone on Christmas. Don't turn the TV on unless you're playing a Christmas story or some black and white nonsense in the background. Maybe put it on put it on YouTube and have like a fire crackling or whatever for hours. Just put it on the repeat for that. Don't go look for a screen. Don't go look for a screen on Thursday. Try to enjoy Christmas. All this technology and crap that we're looking at, don't worry about it. No TVs, no screens. I know Christmas is a rough time for some of you, and I really hate that. But if you do have some family around you, you do have the opportunity to go spend some time with people. Put the phone down, turn the TV off. Use that opportunity. Let's not worry about football for one day. That'd be great, wouldn't it? But moving on after that, Friday, of course, the day after Christmas, we do get right back into some football action. We have a few games. The Sports Bowl at noon on Friday. Northwestern is a 10.5-point favorite against Central Michigan. And then later on, the Rate Bowl at 3:30. Minnesota's 2.5-point favorites versus New Mexico. And then Friday night, we have the First Responders Bowl, Florida International versus UTSA. My handwriting is so bad, I can't even tell if I actually wrote down who the favorite was in that game. I want to say it was Florida International. I might be wrong there. But that's all the games up through Friday. And then Saturday really is a big day. Saturday really is a big day because you kind of get back into the college football action. We're going to talk about a few of these games, and then probably take our last break. So just real quick on Saturday, this is more like Saturday morning. The Military Bowl, Pittsburgh's going to be 9.5-point favorites against East Carolina. That's 10 a.m. Pinstripe Bowl. This is, a few years ago, this would have been a crazy matchup. Penn State versus Clemson, 11 a.m. for the Pinstripe Bowl. Clemson is 3.5-point favorites. That could be really interesting. UConn versus Army. Now, this is an interesting one. This is going to be the last one we talk about before I go to break. Of course, we talked about Army-Navy last week. Army ended up having a 1-point loss there, kind of a heartbreaking loss for those guys. This game's going to be 1:15, the Fenway Bowl. I think this is awesome. They're going to go play at Fenway, of course, home Boston Red Sox, Green Monster, Pesky Pole, all that. I love this, and I know I want to say it's Notre Dame plays at Wrigley, I believe. I think that more of these big-time programs, maybe not even big-time programs, but you ought to be trying to go find where you can play football games at random spots. I mean, if you got 100 yards and a flat field, man, let's play some football. I think it'd be cool to travel around, play at some different spots. The Fenway Bowl is just another opportunity for that. I love that. I think it's cool. Plus, I mean, being a baseball fan myself, I've always kind of wanted to go to Fenway. I remember being a little kid and thinking, I watched Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire in the, I think it was the 1998 Home Run Derby, either 98 or 99 Home Run Derby at Fenway. And I remember thinking, man, it would be cool if they put somebody up there in that Green Monster. And then sure enough, a few years later, they had some seats up there. But being a baseball fan, I would love to go watch a football game at Fenway. I think it would be cool to go watch a football game at a lot of random locations, including Wrigley, even if it is Notre Dame playing. But we're going to go to the next break, but I just want to throw that out there. I thought that was really, really neat. I think that's awesome. But we're going to go to our next commercial. Make sure you don't go anywhere. When we get back, we're going to talk about the rest of the bowl games coming up and then give you all your lock of the week. So thank you.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
He shoots, and he scores!
Got closer. All new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mid Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Winning just got closer.
Welcome back to Kickoff with Casey. My name's Casey Patrick, and we're just going to talk about a few more of these bowl matchups that we have, and then I will try to come up with a good lock of the week for you guys because last week was so bad with that Tulane guess. But moving on to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, Georgia Tech versus BYU. BYU is 4.5-point favorites in that game. I want to say, I might be wrong, but I want to say that's the first matchup between two ranked teams in these bowl games. But, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not, the two teams, Georgia Tech and BYU, they both have like specialized helmets for this game. They've got sprinkles, look like a Pop-Tart, I guess, which I think it's cool. They ought to let these teams do weird stuff with their jerseys for these games. But moving on to the Arizona Bowl, there's an Arizona Bowl, a New Mexico Bowl, and a Texas Bowl. I actually did check the location. I wanted to make fun of one of them if they weren't where they said they were, but they all ended up being where they're supposed to be. Miami of Ohio versus Fresno State. Fresno State, 5.5-point favorites. That game's going to be 3:30. That's the Arizona Bowl. And then North Texas is 3.5-point favorites versus San Diego State, 4:45. The New Mexico Bowl. The Gator Bowl is going to be Virginia versus Missouri. Now, Virginia is actually ranked. I think they're top 20. Definitely top 25. They are ranked. But Missouri's actually 4.5-point favorites. That game's going to be 6:30 Saturday night, December 27th. Saturday night, that's the Gator Bowl. And here's one that's actually really, really interesting. The Texas Bowl is 8:15 on Saturday night. LSU versus Houston. Now, I've said multiple times on this show, I've got to see Houston a few times. They're not a bad football team. I think they've got some of the best jerseys in all of college football. That's what I said on this show. As far as being a football team, they're not bad. I think LSU, they're 2.5-point. Houston is 2.5-point favorites against LSU. I know that Lane Kiffin's not even technically coaching yet. I don't know who is coaching them in this game. I don't care who's coaching them in this game. LSU, with whatever talent, I think they sleepwalk to a win in this game. Houston's ranked. They're good. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be my lock of the week. We'll get back to it later. But I don't think Houston at 2.5-point favorites. Give me LSU. I'll take LSU to win. I don't even need the points. Moving on, they're going to be off on Sunday. Got a bunch of NFL playoff games on, or not playoff, but might as well basically playoff games because it's going into the playoff. But moving on to Monday, there's only one game. It's going to be the Birmingham Bowl. That's Georgia Southern 7.5-point favorites versus Appalachian State. That's 1 p.m. on Monday, December 29th. And then we'll talk about Tuesday's games. And I think that'll be it for us. A little bit of a shorter show this week. I actually said that correctly. Starting off with 1 p.m. Coastal Carolina versus Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech's going to be 9.5-point favorites. That's the Independence Bowl. And then right down the road in Nashville, Tennessee's going to be basically hosting Illinois. Going to be a lot of orange in that stadium. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Tennessee fan. Illinois, of course, is orange as well. Their orange is kind of duller, not nearly as good looking. That's okay. Tennessee is 2.5-point favorites. That game's going to be 4:30, the Music City Bowl. Again, that's Tuesday, December 30th. And then the final game, USC versus TCU for the Alamo Bowl, 8 p.m. USC 6.5-point favorites on that one. I'm going to talk about the Tennessee game real quick. When I say we, I mean me and my friends and Eric, my biological father, and some of my family members. We've always kind of made it an emphasis that we like to go to the bowl games. We love to do a little bit of traveling. Usually when it's cold, if Tennessee gets, of course, I've been to the Tax Slayer Bowl a few times. Down in Jacksonville, I'm going to tell you, Jacksonville this time of year is really pretty and it feels great. It's awesome. You don't mind going to the beach. You're not necessarily going to get in the water, but you don't mind walking down to the beach. It just feels great. You can walk around usually with shorts and maybe a hoodie on. You feel wonderful. It's fun to get away a little bit. But we made the call which I've been to the Music City Bowl quite a few times as well, even when Tennessee didn't play. But we made the call whenever we heard Tennessee was going to be in Nashville, we started calling around all the people that we usually go to the game with, and we asked them what they thought. We decided not to go this year. It's right down the road. I think we all would rather just sit in the comfort of our own home with some heat instead of going out to Nashville in that cold weather and sitting there. Not going to do it this year. Not going to make the trip. You can call me a fair weather fan or whatever you want, but it's cold out there and I'm getting older. Hurts my bones. So, not going to make it to the Tennessee game for the bowl game this year, which it does kind of suck, but it'll be okay. Hopefully next year, get back on a playoff track. If they host a playoff game, I don't care how cold it is, I'll brave the winter. But I would obviously love to get a game, Tampa going back down to Florida for some warm weather stuff would be great. A bowl game in one of those domes would be great. If it was in a dome, I may have went this year. But either way, I believe that's all of the games up until next Wednesday, again, when they restart up the college football bracket. I don't think we've got a few minutes. I may talk about a few of these real quick. I think, we talked about Miami and Ohio State for just a second. Ohio State's 9.5-point favorites. I think Ohio State wins that one by 13. Oregon, Texas Tech. Oregon being favored by Vegas doesn't surprise me at all. And again, just got a few minutes just filling out the back end here. I think we already went through my lock of the week. Oh, yeah, LSU. Give me LSU. Houston's 2.5-point favorites. Give me LSU. That's 8:15 on Saturday night. That's the Texas Bowl. And then we'll get back to the college football bracket real quick. Alabama versus Indiana. Indiana's going to be 6.5-point favorites. Now, the Miami-Ohio State game is Wednesday, December 31st. All these other games are going to be Thursday. Oregon versus Texas Tech. Alabama versus Indiana. And Ole Miss versus Georgia. And I'm pretty sure Georgia's 3.5-point favorites. Indiana being 6.5-point favorites is really interesting to me. I think they probably should be favorited, but that game really scares me for Indiana. Because Alabama, this is a program and a coach and a bunch of kids that have been in some really big-time moments throughout their careers. They know how to win in these big moments. Indiana doesn't have as much of that experience. But I'm interested to see how that works out. Oregon versus Texas Tech, see, kind of the same thing there. Oregon probably doesn't have as much experience as Alabama in some of these big moments, but those guys have, I think they've been around the big moment more than Texas Tech has recently. But Oregon only 1.5-point favorites. Vegas obviously feels a little bit better about Indiana than they do Texas Tech for this upcoming week. I don't know why Georgia's only 3.5-point favorites over Ole Miss. I don't know why I hate Ole Miss so much. I just don't expect them to do well, but I guess we'll see whatever happens. Of course, again, we're gonna really deep dive into some of those games. The second round of the college football bracket. We'll do that next week. We've talked about all kinds of upcoming bowl games. Y'all make sure to let me know. Catch some of these games this week, Catch a few of these games this weekend. Maybe the Pop-Tart Bowl. I know I'm going to watch Tennessee versus Illinois. That'll be next Tuesday, so it'll be after. We'll talk about it on the next episode. The next Kickoff with Casey. We'll talk about the actual game. But make sure y'all catch that one. No, we won't be able to talk about it because I got to record this show on Monday, and then they play the following day. We're going to talk about it again before they play. Y'all have to excuse me. All these dates are getting mixed up in my head. Plus, I just wanted to write down Tennessee and talk about them. I feel like I've kind of rambled on enough, but y'all make sure and catch what you can this week. We do have a lot of football Saturday. Find you a warm, comfortable couch somewhere, maybe lay out, have you a good weekend, watch some college football. We'll come back next week and we'll talk about all those games. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.